training in Cold War Zombies is something that I feel is considered more of an art form once you know how to get it locked down, because some of the jukes you can pull by doing this is just absolutely out of this world, but less about the insane clutches and more about the actual training part. It really is a very valuable skill to have, and it's always generally been considered by the community to be the bread and butter way to reach high rounds in zombies ever since World at War. And listen, you know your boy likes to look out for you also. I'm going to be giving you some tips that have always helped me whenever I've been training in zombies, because if you're not doing one of those round 100 strats, since sometimes they get patched or you might struggle doing some of them, or maybe you just want to learn how to train anyway since it's a good thing to know, and you'll be able to pull off some insane clutches in your games of zombies. And so hopefully this little guide should be able to get you covered. And especially with how aggressive and just the way that Cold War zombies act, they run super fast and there's a lot of spawns in certain training areas. You'll really thank yourself when you've took the time to practice training and can truly master the flow of zombies. Cold War Zombies is, after all, quite momentum based. By the way, I made a new community post asking a question for another I Asked Zombies Players video, so if you want to leave a comment to potentially be featured in the next video, then I really highly encourage you to. The question is, what are your thoughts on the new Outbreak main Easter egg quest that was added into the game by Treyarch? You can comment your thoughts here on this video if you want, or go over to the poll. I'll be checking both anyway, and I'd really just love to hear your thoughts on this. Anyway, that is enough of that kind of stuff. Okay, let's just get into the video now, the real meat and potatoes here, where you can get some training tips. So I'm gonna start this off with the first one, and this is gonna sound dumb, I know, but it's just very important, and that's to find a training spot. This can either be really easy or really hard depending on what map you're playing, although as of right now in Cold War Zombies we only have Firebase Z and D Machine, and luckily those two maps house some very good training spots, and I've done a top 5 training spots video for both of these maps, so if you're looking for some spots, some easy, some hard, somewhere in between, then those videos will have you covered. And if you have to look for a training spot in Outbreak, then I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, come on, you know that most of those maps are just big fields, but don't just settle for some random place and try and train anywhere. You need to find a certain spot that you are comfortable in, because trying to train in some random place, it's probably not gonna work, because it will either be too small, there will be a zombie spawn that ruins the train, anything like that. And so for an example, if I went on D Machine and I tried training underneath the little bit where you can find Deadshot Daiquiri in that really tight vent, it just wouldn't really work. Although training on top of that place is a different story. But I'm sure you can see what I'm getting at here. Knowing a place to train, or just finding one you are comfortable with, is very important, especially if you're already in one place training when there's another place you could be training and be getting better results. Okay, now that you've found a good place to train, let's get on to the next tip, which is going to be to actually know your route. You can't just train anywhere in a training spot, which, now that I say that out loud, sounds kind of dumb. What I mean is, you can't just run around a training spot like a headless chicken and expect to just get this huge train and be good at it. You see, most zombies players recognize a training spot for a few reasons, but the one I'm going to get into here is the fact that they can see a route which they can go around and carry a successful horde. There's no point in just running into a random room on a zombies map, or a random building on Outbreak or something, and trying to just start a train, because it won't really work. When you see the area, you need to just envision where it is you'd actually be running. Would you be able to do a 8 formation or just a basic circle? Is there anything in the middle that you can run around? Think the chopper that's crashed in Firebase Z. And you need to see these things before you start trying to train, because it's important to, well, know your route. Once you've found a formation and you have got your route covered, the next thing to do is to have an escape route, because believe me, me, training can go wrong very, very quickly. Methods of escape include being able to run into a different room, finding a nearby portal or some form of teleportation, using a field upgrade like the Aether Shroud, having a panic weapon like the Die Shockwave, or already being able to buy a closed door. And finally, you can take full advantage of Cold War's new vaulting system. It lets you climb a lot more parts of the map, so if you're ever training around a box or something and zombies start laying into you, you can actually just jump and mount up onto the box just for a brief moment. Managing to have at least one of these options open to you is going to be a huge game changer, and it's going to be even better for you the more of these you have checked off. So whenever you pick a training spot, take these into consideration. And the same goes when you're actually training, you know, make sure you take all of these into consideration and you know where they're going to be in case you need to make a quick juke and make one of these escapes. This is a very important one for when you're training, and this is to not try to reverse your route. So say if you're running a circle, for example, and you see a power-up that was dropped from a zombie that you killed just behind the horde. As nice as it looks and as much as you just want to get it, especially if it's like a max ammo or something, don't try and reverse your route and just run round the horde to it, because like 8 times out of 10 it won't work very well. And this has cost me so many high round attempts on not even just Cold War Zombies, but literally any other COD Zombies game. You'll end up becoming a zombie sandwich against the wall and them, and it won't really end well. So the solution is to just keep running your train until you get closer, and then you have to try and pick it up. And I'm sure it wouldn't have disappeared by the time you actually get there, so you won't need to worry about that if you're running a consistent train. So really, if you kill a zombie, you see that power up, just be patient, try not to choke, and just do what you've been normally doing, except when you go round, just pick it up and you'll thank yourself later. I think the only time you'll ever get away with this sort of thing is if you're near the end of a round and there's not many zombies left in your horde, or if the place you're training is big enough to make that kind of maneuver. It's still pretty risky. Only do it if you know you can, but overall I wouldn't really advise it. The next tip here is short and sweet, but it's very important for a good train, and this is to learn the zombie spawns, because you got to pay attention to where all of these barriers are, and if you don't, you run the risk of running past a certain choke point and a zombie just jumps out of a barrier or comes through the ground. I mean, hell, they might even skydive off of a building. They come from some weird places sometimes, and the last thing you want is to become a zombie sandwich again. It always goes back to this, because there'll be a zombie in front of you and then the whole horde behind you, and it'll be game over. It really is one of the worst feelings when you stub your toe on a zombie that's coming up from the ground, and then that's it, your whole game is just gone. It only takes one zombie and it could literally just ruin your whole setup or just the rest of your match. So go and learn where those spawns are in your training spot, because it will save you a lot of hassle. And once you've learned those zombie spawns, this is when you need to know when the right time is to shoot. Mainly, you need to focus on what is in front of you as opposed to the horde behind you, which you would think would be the other way round, but surprisingly that's not the case. Remember, through most of your rounds, zombies are going to be spawning in, and once you know where those spawns are, you'll be able to act quickly on them and pick off or slow down each individual one. Mainly just shoot the horde when you get to a choke point, and then just focus back on what's in front of you again, and you'll be able to reload somewhere in between that time. And I hate to throw such a good segue on you again like I have been through the rest of the video, but if you're going to be shooting zombies, you're going to need to make sure that you have the right loadout for this. And speaking of loadouts real quick, I'm probably going to be making a loadout video, just some cool loadouts to take into your game. There's just been a lot of weapon changes as of late, and I would love to make one. Let me know if you want something like that in the comments below. So for a good train, I would recommend having 2 weapons. For a primary, I would go with the M16, because oh my god, that tac rifle has just been buffed and it was already just like a god tier weapon, and now it's even better. So I would run that with some good attachments. For example, something like a task force barrel. Although that has been nerfed, it's still very viable, and the payoff payoff is well worth the cons that it comes with. I'm not going to go too in depth on attachments because I'm going to make a separate video on this probably. Now I would either put tier 5 brain rot on this thing or tier 5 napalm burst. Napalm burst has an insta-kill potential which is going to be useful for a train, and brain rot, well, you know, it's brain rot tier 5. It genuinely is the best ammo mod here, and once you fire that brain rot into a train, it is absolutely lethal. And for a secondary weapon, this is the weapon that you're probably going to be using to pick off those zombies that are in front of you, and here I'm going to recommend a shotgun. You can use the gallow here, but I'm going to suggest the Hauer, as well as cryo freeze on this thing, so you can be freezing zombies near enough every shot, just in case you don't kill them. At least they'll be frozen and you'll be able to just run past them, and then they'll join the horde. I'm also going to recommend that you get elemental pop here for perks, and this is because with the Hauer, if you have tier 2 for elemental pop, you're going to be getting the reduced ammo mod cooldowns by 20%, and this will change the Hauer's rate of freezing from a 1 second cooldown to 0.8, and it may sound like a small difference, but it's huge, and you'll be able to freeze zombies in your path pretty much every shot. But overall, the M16 is going to be your most reliable weapon here, hence why I consider it to be the primary. And for the other perks, including elemental pop here, make sure you just get the core 4 in Cold War, which is stamina up, speed cola, juggernog obviously, and quick revive. And lastly, as for the field upgrade, I would recommend just go with something like Aether Shroud, as it is a huge get out of jail free card, or maybe even tier 5 Frenzied Guard. It's good for armor repairs, slowing the horde down, and plus normal enemies explode after hitting you. I mean, come on, that's pretty useful. And that will allow for more aggressive play, so have fun with that. And with that concludes my training tips guide for Cold War zombies. This is something that you're just gonna have to keep practicing. You're not gonna be able to train like a god in like 2 days. It does take a bit of practice, especially with how aggressive Cold War zombies are. It is a little bit of a struggle, but once you get it locked down and just follow this video, you'll know exactly what you're doing. So go out there and pull some clutches with the boys, or just go and practice. And if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, then be sure to smash the like button. Remember, I am taking comments about the new Zombies Outbreak Easter egg and your thoughts on it for a video, so you should comment down below. It would be a great discussion. You might get featured in the video, it'll be a good time. And any veteran trainers, comment any tips you have for newer players down below, and only a very small percentage of people are even subscribed to the channel. So if you're still here or you're enjoying the content, then subscribe. It's completely free. You can change your mind whenever you want. Turn on the notification bell too to stay notified whenever I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.